Hello everyone, today I'm excited to share a strategic trap that allows you to secure a checkmate in just 7 moves from this initial position. Surprisingly, even with the king seemingly surrounded by its own pieces, there's no escape from this checkmate. You might be curious about how we arrive at this position within such a short time frame. But wait, there's more. I've got an intriguing chess puzzle waiting for all of you. Be sure to stick around until the end to enjoy the complete experience. Let me walk you through the sequence. We'll begin with the move d4, targeting d4 players. This trap is particularly effective against the Dutch defense. While the Dutch defense isn't always played, being ready for it will give you a significant advantage. Many opponents using this defense are aiming to catch you off guard, but this trap ensures you're prepared to respond effectively. Alright, let's delve into a unique method of exerting influence over the e4 square, designed to throw off white d4 players from their typical comfort zones. The concept involves initiating with knight to f6, utilizing these two pieces to assert control over e4 in this manner. Our unconventional move is h3, constituting the Kchoi Attack. Ordinarily, sound chess principles advocate for piece development and castling, but in this scenario, we have a very specific objective in mind. We aim to execute g4, and if an exchange occurs, we've successfully unleashed our rook, applying pressure on the h-pawn. Additionally, we've eliminated the pawn's influence over e4, easing our play in the central region. For example, executing g4 as illustrated here initiates the attack, providing the opportunity to follow up with e4. A promising idea. However, one might anticipate a potential issue. Black could opt for knight to f6, controlling both e4 and g4 to counter our plan. You might wonder why we would proceed given this predicament. Interestingly, we forge ahead with g4 regardless. Now, before we explore what unfolds next, it's important to note that this trap is most effective for players with a rating under 2000. The reasoning behind this is that once you surpass the 2000 rating mark, many opponents will likely be familiar with these patterns and tactics, especially if they choose the Dutch defense. So, aiming this trap at opponents below 2000 rating ensures a higher likelihood of catching them off guard, as they may not have encountered this strategy before. Why do we play g4 in this situation? Well, most opponents would instinctively capture the pawn, perceiving it as a free pawn. It's certainly disruptive to have their knight pushed around like this. They'd go ahead and capture it, which leads to a captivating follow-up move, queen to d3. Upon careful examination, queen to d3 emerges as a compelling move. It targets the h-pawn, supported by 2 attackers, yet defended only once. Now, some might think that defending against this threat is simple for black. They could just play h6 to safeguard the rook. However, this defensive move allows us to swiftly conclude the game. If you'd like to take a moment to think about the winning move for white at this point, go ahead. The winning move here is queen to g6. It's a decisive checkmate because the black king has no escape squares, and there's no way to block the check. This highlights the perils of exposing this diagonal without paying due attention to vulnerabilities along the light squares. Therefore, moves like h6 or h5 result in an immediate game over. A more reasonable response from black might involve knight to f6, a retreat maneuver, reclaiming the captured pawn and seemingly fortifying the position. It does present a solid appearance for black. However, there's a devastating move that shifts the balance dramatically. Allow me to introduce a winning move, rook takes h7. This move is exceptionally potent. The beauty lies in its resilience, regardless of how black chooses to recapture. After any recapture, white follows up with queen to g6, delivering a checkmate. Remarkably, this outcome remains consistent, even if the knight captures the rook. This underscores the significant challenge black faces in trying to unravel this precarious position. Now, let's consider a scenario where our opponents discern the impending danger and opt for a more astute move, g6. This move effectively blocks the queen's access. Despite this, there's a promising continuation that the engine suggests, keeping white slightly in the advantageous position. I'll propose a move, rook takes h7. This involves sacrificing our rook, but it sets the stage for queen takes g6, again delivering a check. It might appear similar to the previous checkmate, but there's a subtle difference this time. Now the rook can block. However, we swiftly respond by capturing the knight. This results in a trade of a knight and a pawn for a rook. Although not an optimal trade point-wise, rook being worth 5 points, while knight is 3 and the pawn is 1, we've achieved significant positional advantages. By eliminating all of black's kingside pawns, we've left the black king with no secure refuge on this side of the board. Any attempt to achieve safety would necessitate castling on the other side, which is currently challenging for black. Let's walk through a potential game continuation to illustrate how this strategy could unfold. Suppose black decides to play d5, attempting to unleash their bishop on your queen. In response, you execute queen to h5, a crucial move in this position. This move is vital for a couple of reasons. Firstly, it pins the rook, rendering it ineffective since it can't move. Additionally, if black's king attempts to castle, they lose the defender of the rook, enabling you to capture it. Now, let's consider a move like knight to c6 as an example. You respond with knight to f3, threatening knight g5 to attack the pinned rook. Given the pin, if black plays a move like bishop to f5, they are in a tough spot, and the game is essentially over, as they have no effective way to deal with this threat, resulting in a free rook. However, a more logical move for black might be e5, which may initially seem like an odd pawn sacrifice. The strategic rationale behind this move is to allow black to defend the rook with the queen after knight g5. This leads to a significant trade. Even in this scenario, where we are up a pawn, but facing some counterplay, we are still slightly better according to the engine. The game would progress with moves like c3, and while we might lose the pawn, we remain in a relatively equal position, and the game continues with both sides having opportunities. As you respond with bishop to f4, applying pressure, the game progresses, and while the intricacies might be a bit complex, the resulting position is actually quite favorable. It's essential to emphasize that even though the situation may appear uncertain, it's not a bad position by any means. So, that concludes the intricacies of this trap. It's a highly deceptive tactic that can catch opponents off guard, particularly if they haven't encountered it before. As mentioned earlier, its effectiveness is most pronounced when used against opponents rated below 2000. However, I've even utilized it at higher levels and managed to create engaging positions. So, the next time you encounter the d4 f5 setup, give the Kchoi Attack a try and see how it unfolds for you. Now, it's time for a puzzle. In the given position, it's white's turn, and you need to find the best move for white. Share your answers in the comments, and let's see how many of you can solve it correctly. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated with future videos. Take a moment to check out the other videos appearing on your screen right now. Thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Take care and peace.